right? And my work with Caeleb to his success is probably like 2% of what he's done. I mean, he's put in work over the years and over the years and over the years. And so he's going to find a way to do it. And that's something that I really appreciated from Caeleb, is that it wasn't so much about the nutrition. It wasn't so much about the training. He was dialed in. He was taking notes when we were going through his report and saying, what did you say about that again? Tell me about that again. What do I need to do? But it's that he took every word, applied it, and goes, what's next? Now what? How can I get better? What do I do next? Right? It was just the constant, what can I do better? What can I do more? Right? And so that's just why those people are the way they are. Yes, people like Caeleb or Michael Phelps have gifts, or I've never worked with Michael, but some of the other clients that I have worked with are very high level athletes. And yes, of course they have genetic gifts, but I've seen somebody has actually technically a better report than Caeleb does. Okay. And so are they as fast as Caeleb? No, because they don't have those other things that he does. And that's all mental. That's just Caeleb. And that's why he's so stinking good, is he finds a way to get it done, and he's just not going to get beat. And it's just so cool. He taught me a lot just working with him, and that drive, that motivation. And I just think it was a neat experience to work with him and just see that level of not an athlete, but just of that level of mentality. High level CEO people that I've worked with, high level CEOs, the same mentality as Caeleb. How can I get better? What do I need to do? How can I think better? How can I sleep better? It's the same thing. That's why they're so successful.
It's a new episode today of All the Talk. I have the honor and the pleasure to receive the president and owner of Beine Wellness Building. It's going to be a conversation about science, the science of nutrition. That's what I wanted to call it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I have the honor to receive today Erica Beine. Welcome, Erica.
Thanks, Greg, for having me. Appreciate it. This is awesome.
I'm very, very happy. This is the third or fourth take we are doing to start the show. So thank you very much for your kind help. Erica, you were an athlete. You swam at the Division I level, if my research are okay, yep. And for many years. Then you were a coach for 13 years, assistant coach for a few years, and a head coach as well in a Division I university in the US. Then you quit your job. We're going to talk about that as well, to become a nutritionist, to get certification in that, and you decided to start a career in how can I say that, trying to help swimmers at first and people around you. And a little bit of time after you start this project, here you are talking with and working with some of the best athletes in the world. So I'm very excited to have that conversation with you and get the people who are going to watch the show to learn about a little bit more about nutrition. So if we have to describe exactly what you are doing, how would you say it?
Yeah, good question. Sometimes I don't know how to describe it. So that's a good question. So, in a few short sentences, this is how I describe. When somebody at a party says, hey, what do you do? It's kind of like, well, I do a lot of stuff. But the gist of it is I take an athlete's DNA. We help them understand how to perform better, recover better, eat better, and supplement better, based all on their genetics. That's what we do. Okay, that's where we start, essentially. And that's 90% of what we do, essentially.
So is going through the DNA test give you more specific stuff to help the people around you, people working with you about nutrition?
Right. So we're finding out food sensitivities, okay, animal fats, dairy fat, lactose, which is the sugar in dairy. We're learning about carbs, That's a huge word in an athlete's world. Carbs. What kind of carbs should we eat? When should we eat those carbs? Just in the nutrition food piece of things, then we start diving into supplementation. Okay. And so what supplements are you taking, Greg, that are working against your body that your DNA doesn't like? Okay. So we learn that. And if we see people taking things unknowingly, they think they're doing the right thing. They don't know. We get their genetic report and then we see, oh my goodness, they should not be taking this multivitamin. They need to take something else because there's a key in there that shows us this is working against their body. And it's super neat. I mean, when people get it out of their body and put the right stuff in, it's amazing the difference they feel.
You make a change, a quick change?
Yeah, it's an easy change. It's not hard. It's a quick change, and it's pretty impressive how quickly they feel better emotionally, mentally, physically. It's amazing. I mean, just one ingredient. We're talking about one ingredient for one gene. There's other things that come with others, but that can make the world of difference in someone's mental, emotional, and physical health. It's huge.
Good. So before we get into more details about that, I'm very curious about how did you get from a swimming coach career transit to being international nutritionist, well known today? How did you do that?
That's a 2-hour conversation.
Okay.
That's a long topic. So the long story short is, I was a coach for 13 years. I was a head coach for a part of that. I was an assistant coach for part of that. And eventually I had children and decided I wanted to be around more. I wanted to be a mom. I didn't have an intention essentially of starting a business. I know I was going to do something, but I wanted to be home with my kids, and I wanted to be able to raise them in some important years of their life. And unfortunately, in Division I swimming at that highest of level, where we were, it just wasn't a good fit. Right. I worked with a great staff, amazing people. There was nothing, wrong with the people I worked with or the university I was working for when I left. It just no longer, I could not give the athletes what they needed. I couldn't give my family what they needed. And so I was always frustrated and I was always emotionally, mentally a wreck. I was just continuously feeling this inner struggle to be at the pool, to be home, to be at the pool, to be home. And it just eventually got to be too much. And I said, that's enough. And somebody else can do my job much better than I can and give it way more than I can. And I need to be with my kids. So I left and I decided that, I was always involved in the nutrition piece with the athletes. Okay. Because I was at the pool, because I was accessible. I was planning our meals on the road. I was planning what kind of things, and I was helping planning what went into our, what we call fueling stations that we had at the pool, that the kids could get snacks after practice. So it was an easy fit. And I just had this idea that the people needed help. They needed help understanding how to eat. This was before the DNA thing even came into play, but I just wanted to help people understand how to eat and fuel their bodies the right way. So I had an idea and I came up with a plan and said, this is what we're going to do. And I created a website and I didn't know how to do that, but I asked some people and they said, do this. So I did that. And then I just put stuff on social media and people said, can you help me? And I said, yes. And anybody that wanted to pay me, I took them. And pretty soon an athlete asked me if I could help her. And I had a previous relationship with her and said, yeah, we can work together. And we worked together. We had I think it was around 4 to 6 months, probably we worked together, but that's where the DNA piece came in. And so we just felt like we could not nail her nutrition down 100%. There was something missing that we could not figure out. Okay. So I said, I heard about this DNA thing. I'll do it with you. Do you want to try it with me? And then we asked a few other people that I had coached and friends and said, do you want to do this? It sounds pretty cool. You want to, everyone goes, sure, that sounds awesome. Yeah, cool. Without even knowing what we were getting into.
But the DNA word is just calling so much, you know, when people hear that, whoa, it's look like it's more science, more deep, more precise.
Yeah.
Like it's a very good selling word, I would say.
So it was a neat neat thing to start. And I was going to learn something about myself, and this athlete was going to learn something about herself, and that we could maybe get some clues to what we couldn't figure out. So we got her report back from the lab, and there it was. It was right there. The thing we couldn't figure out, and we never were going to figure out unless we saw this on the report. And so, we were working together. She told another person, she told another person, she told another 8 people under each other. This guy named Caeleb Dressel emails me. Most people have heard of him. And he says, I heard you're working with my teammate. I want to know more about that. And how do I talk to you? So we get on Zoom and I talk to Caeleb, and he decides he wants to do this and work together. And then it kind of just
boom.
All of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever, if Caeleb drinks chocolate milk, people are going to drink chocolate milk. Right.
Shout out to Caeleb.
It was, Caeleb had a great experience, to my knowledge. He had a great experience and wrote us a great testimonial that we're allowed to say that we've worked together. Mm-hmm. And, Caeleb has referred other people to us, and, it's just been great. We've been able to help those high level athletes, those pros that are, the elitist of the elite. And I really enjoy that group of people because of their mindset. We also get to help younger kids. I have reviews every week of their report with 9-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. And that's really fun too. That's a fun group to work with their parents and to work with the kids to help them start to understand how to put the right things in their body. So every group is really fun to work with. But it's really, that's how it happened. We went from swim coach to not having a job to now what we do. So long story short.
This is very impressive. And from what I read about you, we work with the kids, you work with the athletes, but there is normal people as well who trying to get better and trying to, because it's everyone try to perform. It's not just this is what I like as well about your project is, okay, you're driven into the performance and you like that, and you want to have an effect on the kids and educate even the parents and the parents, make it different on that. And normal people, people who are old, younger, with health problem. What was so far the biggest, I would say, of course, working with Caeleb Dressel was probably amazing for you. I cannot imagine the drive of that guy and how precise. And I want to come back a little bit on that, but what is the huge or the biggest? I don't know if you can talk about a specific person, but without naming it, the biggest difference that you ever made so far.
Wow, that's a big question. There's a lot. I mean, every person, parent, child I talk to, I feel like we're able to get to that aha moment.
Wow.
Whoa, that's why this is going on, or that's why I can't recover. That's why I feel like garbage by Wednesday, or this is the cancer connection in my family, right? So every person, I hope, and I think they do, walks away going, wow, I just figured out something big. But I would say there was one family that comes to mind. He was 11 years old, and we did their team as a test. And, we did a large group from their team. We did parents, we did coaches, we did kids, we did athletes, their siblings. And this particular boy, I think his parents just wanted to know if he was a sprinter or a distance athlete. I think that's really why they wanted to do it. And when it comes down to it, I think we were on Zoom for over 2 hours, and this kid has major connections to cancer, intolerance to alcohol. Wow. So we talked about what does that mean socially when they get into college in their early 20s, in their 30s, what does that look like, and how can that impact this child emotionally and mentally, right? We saw some of these things, and I think this particular family had some really strong connections into breast cancer, colon cancer, and you could just see mom and dad's, the light in the eyes go, oh my gosh, okay, what do we need to do? Right. It was, I don't know if we haven't probably seen the impact, but I do believe we've changed that kid's life. We've changed those parents' lives, because he was a biological child of both mom and dad. So they have something that he has, and that got passed down. So they need to make changes as well. So that was probably one of the most standout things that comes to mind. But every person it's just so different and so unique. Every conversation is different. Some people, we talk for 20 minutes on their feet. Some people we talk about recovery, and some uncomfortable conversations to young boys will come up in conversation, right? We'll talk about some bowel movements, and we'll talk about things like that. And those are some strange conversations for a young kid to talk about to a stranger on Zoom. But
I'm sure you have some good, strange conversation as well, with the athlete and the people you talk to. And when you talk nutrition, you have to address all of the stuff,
very strange.
all of the stuff. So let's dig in that funny little part of the talk we'll have today. What is the weirdest talk or change that you had to talk about?
Oh my gosh. Well, we talk about sperm, So there is some fertility connections to things we do. So, most of my conversations, unless it's a mom or, just call us normal people that aren't athletes anymore, or, never were, and talk about, hey, someday you're going to maybe want to have a family, and this is what this means, right? And so there's a connection to sperm or eggs and so on. So you can see the 11-year-old boys turn bright red, and we don't go too in depth, but I just say this is why this is important. So someday, to your parents' desire 30 years from now, you will, maybe think about that. And that's something your doctor wants to know. So that's a big one. That's probably the most awkward thing that comes up. It's not awkward to me, but other.
No, I guess because you are used to it. You're used to it, and all the people are not just open to talk about that. But let's dig into more training, more swimming. I heard that you were a sprinter. I love that. I was a sprinter as well.
Oh, sweet.
I love to coach sprint, and one of the favorite stuff for the sprinter is the taper. We enjoy the taper so much.
The best.
And I had personally, and I see swimmer a lot struggle, because when we address that to the athlete, when we are going in the taper phase, watch out about your food, the size of it. We're gonna spend less energy. Don't eat the same. You want to keep the program way more balanced. But I was struggling to feel. I was feeling like I needed to have a little bit more, or I didn't know exactly what to eat to fuel my body with good energy. And my athlete and a lot of swimmers I know are going through the same kind of process. So did you ever experience something or address that part of the training with some coaches or swimmers?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, with taper, there's some pretty strong connections in the DNA piece that we see. So we can see how well you're going to hold on to muscle mass once you leave the weight room. So we see kids dive out of the weight room 3 to 4 to 5 weeks before their big meet. They're losing muscle mass, and what should we do instead, right? That's always the thing. I want to provide a solution. So think about this, talk to your coach about this, come up with a plan. Okay. Maybe it's not what I tell you, but maybe it kind of correlates maybe a little bit, but now you know. Okay. We can see food wise what they really need to limit 6 weeks out. Okay. I'll always tell them, hey, I'm going to be realistic with you, because I'm going to eat Oreos, I'm going to drink wine, and I did in college, and that's okay. But 6 weeks out, we see these things that you're putting in your body occasionally aren't working for you. Okay. So why are we going to put anything in that body within 6 weeks that's actually working against you? During training, sometimes we're going to, because we're human and that's life. 6 weeks is that window. We do not treat our body bad within 6 weeks. Okay. Once the meet's over, go ahead and go do your ice cream, M&Ms, Oreo sundae. That's great. Yeah. Go do it. Okay. But we got to be really good. So we kind of know, and dairy is one that comes up. Hey, within taper, within 6 weeks, dairy's got to go. Okay. Dairy has to go. So no more cheese on the salad, no more cheese for a snack. You might be doing that in season and it's fine, but within 6 weeks, that's got to go. So we definitely talk about those pieces. Or when it comes to training, we can actually see, hey, you're probably that kid that needs to do the workout and then stay and do like 5 to 10 100s on short course yards, 120, 115, just kind of moderate to keep your endurance base, because we see if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So that's going to help you stay and keep your aerobic up if you're going to swim 100 at 200, especially if we're talking about a sprinter.
So for the coaches who are really working with you and are connected with you, you are assisting them to drive their program the better way.
And I actually don't work with that many coaches. I really put that on the athlete and go, if they want to share their report with the coach and the coach wants to connect with me and say, hey, can you explain this a little bit more just so I understand? I'm happy to do that. But I really try to empower the athlete to go to your coach. Okay, here's what you see. I don't coach you. I don't see you every day. I see your report in our meetings that we have, our multiple meetings. That's it. Your coach knows you best. Okay, so talk to them, show them the report, show them what you know. If you want me to record this, I will, and then they can see this too, or they want to give me a call. Awesome, that's great. But I'm not your coach. I'm not going to tell you how to train. Your coach needs to take the info, digest it, and then do what they're going to do with it. That's it.
Yeah. You want them to take responsibility for what they do, and it's a better way for them to follow that path. We had the talk off before, and I wanted to address that. I have issues with addressing. A lot of athletes come to me and ask me, like, what should we eat? What should we do? And I'm not a nutritionist. So I can help, I can share some of the stuff that I did, worked for me, but I never did any DNA tests, and it was just intuition and a good connection to every stuff that I put in. I used to feel the effect of it and listen to my body very, very, very carefully, but I've always been disturbed as a coach to give huge advice of you should do this, you should do that, and I never really understand why until I finally discover what you are doing in the DNA, who became so specific. And food and nutrition is like training. When you are at a certain level, it has to be specific. It has to be well target. And I see the business that you are doing. I don't know if there is many like you in the world right now, but it's probably the next thing in nutrition, because this is becoming so specific and so direct. And what you said is that the effects are like, you probably feel that you sleep better, that you recover better, like you're not full with the same quantity as usual as well. I mean, because you have the right ingredients. Can you talk to me about a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think as a coach, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I was a coach too, and nutrition was one of those things that we needed to address with almost everybody at some point.
Yeah.
But we were too scared or didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially at the college level and even at the club level, legally, I don't know if we're really in a place, because what if you say the wrong thing, somebody takes that too far,
mm-hmm.
and then as a coach, you're kind of liable for what you said to that athlete. It's kind of scary to even touch nutrition.
Yeah, it is.
As a coach, you're their coach. You shouldn't have to be their therapist, their nutritionist, their coach, their surrogate parent for however many hours out of the week, right? Their travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
That you shouldn't have to be all of those things. So I think it's scary personally as a coach, if you are giving some of that advice. To me as a coach, it honestly kind of was in some ways, because I knew what I was talking about, but yet you just never knew what kid was going to take it too far or hear the wrong thing, right? You say something and they hear the opposite, or they hear way more in depth of what you're talking about, mm-hmm. right? That's just scary. And you just got to protect yourself legally and the club, so you don't do anything wrong, right? Unintentionally. We're probably not doing anything intentionally, but unintentionally, I think it's scary as a coach. So do you feel that, Greg, as a coach? Do you feel sort of that?
Yes, it's scary because you never know, and you're not sure that it's going to suit to everyone. Like I asked them, like basic advice about hydration, time of sleeping to recover as much as they can, Since COVID start, I even recommend even more vitamin D and C, and of course there is some mineral that they can give, but does she need more of this, more of that? I'm not special. I knew what I needed. I knew the effect on it, but it's scary because you're not like in everything, and sometimes you don't have much of a choice because they are the only one that can talk to, they can address to. I don't feel like I'm a psychologist. I'm not certified in that, but sometimes because it is what it is, and because we spend so much time with them, we don't do psychology, but we talk so much, and the connection is getting better and stuff, and the limit is very thin. So it can be scary, especially today where things are changing and you have to be even more careful about everything. Yeah, it's a bit disturbing, and that's an area now where I learned to send people to the specialist, like the professional guy when it's too much. Like, okay, this I can answer. The biggest struggle for me as a man when there is a girl who come to me and they know they gain weight or they know they are not in the best shape. I made a couple of mistakes, that's for sure, and I'm trying to avoid it now. But what I'm trying to tell them is, I don't mind you taking weight. If you feel good, you're good. But you have to be aware that to swim in that shape, you're going to have to be stronger. You're going to have to work better on this, better on that. I don't think it will be the best, easiest way to go. But this is where we are. When they struggle and they address that struggle, I'm trying to send them to specialized people or people who are swimmers even who had experience on that, and trying to exchange with them, try to make them better. But it's very touchy, very, 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 very touchy.
It's hard. It's the weight thing is hard. And I think so many women, in my experience at least, even at the pro level, I mean, they're even more aware. That's probably where the weight conversation comes in the most, is at the pro level. And the women have this idea that when they swam one of their best times at age 16 and they weighed 135 pounds, that's what they need to weigh to go best time again. And that's something I'd really try to steer them away from that mindset, because what you are at 16 and what makes you swim fast at 16 is completely different than a 24-year-old woman. Okay. Throw away the number on the scale. This doesn't matter. If you feel good, you're healthy, you're strong, you're training well, and you're happy, things are going to work out. Right? We don't care about the number on the scale. Okay. If your clothes fit well, you feel good, you're training fast, those are all good signs. So,
I'm very happy about what you're saying. Like, those words are going to like, there is a lot of people who are going to like what you are saying, because I'm not going to say most of them, but lots of even boys think that when they pass or change or transform their body, because this is natural, this is life, right? Evolution. I'm not the same than I was when I was 20 or 15 or 30. No. But there is still stuff where you can perform at the highest level if you do the right stuff. And we don't hear enough about that from the general life social conversation that we have. So it's good that it's amazing that you are addressing that. And I wanted to know how many, I would say, and did you work as a head coach with the men's team, right? Yeah. Were you able to provide at this stage of your career as a coach good advice to some men who are struggling into that process of nutrition or weight? Did you struggle as well with it, like I did, like I'm doing, or like I did, or
you know what? I think everything has changed so much. I think in the last 5 to 10 years, what you can say as a coach has completely changed. And so, I made mistakes. I was a head coach of a men's and a women's team at age 26. I was very young. And so some of those kids were, I literally almost could have swam with them. Like they could have been my teammates. Some of them were like older than my sibling. Right. So it was a very unique relationship to be their head coach. And so I think I was a head coach in what was I, 2008 to 2010. So it was a different era, and it's not that long ago, but things were very different back then. I mean, not that this is right, but I could say something to a guy like, hey, where did your abs go? And I said it. I mean, that's wrong or right. I had said it back then to them, right? And so I think that the conversation is, if you cannot say that now, you get fired for sure if you said that.
You say that in the US, you can get sued for that?
Oh, totally. I mean, you could definitely, if that swimmer, that student athlete took offense to that and went to the administration, you could definitely easily get fired by that. So, I mean, I don't, maybe that was a wrong thing of me to say back then. Even so, maybe it was more accepted, but it was probably not the appropriate thing to say. I was young and I definitely made mistakes. We all have, but you could say those things. And now you can't. I mean, even 30 years ago, look what coaches said to kids. It's just different. I mean, Bobby Knight was throwing chairs at people. Nobody
Yeah.
did anything, right? It's a different conversation. So I always personally thought I was a better men's coach than a women's coach. And with the women, I always enjoyed the women that had more of that, I hate to be stereotypical, but male mentality of just no drama. Let me swim fast. I want to beat you. That's it. The drama.
Are you saying that there is more drama with women?
Oh, totally. Yes. Yes. Yeah, totally. Right. And I coached plenty of women that had that mentality. Like, I just want to be great. I will do whatever it takes. I just want to, I will get up and race. And those are the kids I enjoyed. The women I enjoyed coaching for sure, a lot. But I always thought I was a better men's coach. For some reason, there's just something in me that probably was better with the men than the women. So I never struggled with guys.
It is probably easier in your position, and I see it like as a woman, to talk with men or women about physical condition. I think it's easier for you than it is for a male coach to talk to address that. Your mistake will be forgive way better, way more that a mistake than a male would do without bad intention. It's a very, 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 very touchy subject, and I really, really listen to the advice from the oldest coach I have around me, who are now telling me, as soon as you feel it's a gray area, specialist, it's not your problem. You should not take responsibility for that, because sometimes we feel that we have to. We want to protect them. We want them to feel good. It's a sin, very, very, very sin limit, and
it is. But the problem too is that that athlete so much better than anybody else other than the parent. You know them, better than anybody other than the parent. And so you kind of have a little bit of I don't know, skin in the game too when it comes to them, because how can somebody else that doesn't even know this person come in and try to help them? And so there's just really no quote nutrition specialists out there other than us, and maybe there is others that I'm just not aware of, that work with swimmers specifically. Like, swimming is 95% of what we do. Swimming parents, swimming athletes, swimming coaches. We have some other sports as well, but most of it is swimming. And so we get their sport. I swam. I went to morning practice. We get it. And so if you just send your athlete that has some concerns when it comes to nutrition and recovery and performance to the local dietitian, nutritionist, how are they going to get our sport? How are they going to understand the demands of what we do emotionally, mentally, physically? It's just, they don't get it. If they didn't live this sport, you can't understand it, because it is so strange. It's, for lack of better words, it is a weird sport. So I get that hesitation to send them off to somebody else and try to problem solve it yourself. I was the same way as a coach. I didn't want somebody I didn't know working with the athlete I recruited and invested 5 hours a day plus in this kid. I want to try to solve the problem. So I get that. I get where you're coming from. We have to
be taught and teach way more to do that, and when it's not your area, let's just pass on to the specialized people. Like even you in your back in the day in university, you had around you in your team a psychologist, a weight weight director for your program. You had a physio. You have a different tool that you want to use, but in some area we didn't. Well, we are not like it's not a question of not having the right support, but we don't have the same attitude to use those tools, facility to use those tools the same way, and
Yeah.
it's become more and more like that. I wanted to talk about an expression will really disturb me. No, I'm not saying disturb me. I'm not going to bring huge bad topic. It's English term called freak of nature, and
Yeah.
I hate that term.
I do too. I don't like it.
Because there is no freak. There is people who has huge potential, who are physically different, of course, but built like they are because this is what genetically they received. But then the way they develop and the way they become, that's quote unquote freak. It's not just about training. And looking at LeBron James, looking at what is his name? And I watched a crazy football game like a week ago, Tom Brady, looking at Caeleb Dressel. I know very well Brett, that you had a talk as well. Brett Oak, who was a former coach of Bruno Fratius. This guy is from I don't know how many times under 22. He's not that tall, but wow, physically is pretty well conserved, with really good shape. And you could see that all those people who are achieving something, they must do something out of their training will make them become what they are. And what is beautiful now, they open up a little bit and try to share a little bit more about what they are doing and stuff. When you hear that LeBron James spend I don't know how many million a year for his body, like Cristiano Ronaldo is like there is a joke about Cristiano Ronaldo that some soccer player used to say, if Cristiano Ronaldo invites you to a restaurant, don't go, because you're not gonna eat. You're gonna eat like
I'll go. That's fine. I can hang with whatever food they're gonna eat. So
no, yes, but it's like you see those guys are spending and investing so much in what they eat. Like we feel that more and more athletes start to take ownership and understand that this could make a difference as much as training hard, being disciplined, doing whatever you can to perform. The mental aspect count, the training aspect count, the weight program aspect count, but above everything, I would say that recovery, ability to repeat those efforts every day at a good intensity, to be able to perform in whatever condition. The ultimate key is to take care of your body, and nutrition is a huge part of that. Nutrition can affect your mood. Nutrition can affect your sleep. I'm not going to teach that to you, but let's talk about those guys. And you work with some of those freak, like let's say. So what is a Caeleb Dressel does more than a lot of other athletes?
Yeah, I hate that freak of nature term too. It's not true. They do have genetic gifts. I'll tell people almost everybody has won the genetic lottery in some way or form that I see, right? There's some things in their report that are a gift, right? Everybody's got gifts, right? And someone like Caeleb, I've never worked with LeBron James or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Packers fan, so I mean those guys would be ideal to work with someday. But Caeleb doesn't have a perfect genetic report. Nobody does, right? Caeleb also had things come back that we had a lot of discussion on, and things to change, things to improve, thinking mindset wise, how to switch different things in his day, or when to eat more or less, or what products to eat, right? If we need a lot of calories after practice, a Quaker Oats Chewy bar isn't going to do it, right? What is out there that's good, that's convenient, that's healthy. So we'll sit on Zoom and we'll pull stuff up, and this is what I want you to order, and this is what I want you to try, or these are some things you can go towards that you can even buy at your grocery store. So those guys, I can't speak for the other ones, but I can speak of just my work with Caeleb, is that Caeleb is one of those people that will do whatever it takes, right? And my work with Caeleb to his success is probably like 2% of what he's done. I mean, he's put in work over the years and over the years and over the years. And so he's going to find a way to do it. And that's something that I really appreciated from Caeleb, is that it wasn't so much about the nutrition. It wasn't so much about the training. He was dialed in. He was taking notes when we were going through his report and saying, what did you say about that again? Tell me about that again. What do I need to do? But it's that he took every word, applied it, and goes, what's next? Now what? How can I get better? What do I do next? Right? It was just the constant, what can I do better? What can I do more? Right? And so that's just why those people are the way they are. Yes, people like Caeleb or Michael Phelps have gifts, or I've never worked with Michael, but some of the other clients that I have worked with are very high level athletes. And yes, of course they have genetic gifts, but I've seen somebody has actually technically a better report than Caeleb does. Okay. And so are they as fast as Caeleb? No, because they don't have those other things that he does. And that's all mental. That's just Caeleb. And that's why he's so stinking good, is he finds a way to get it done, and he's just not going to get beat. And it's just so cool. He taught me a lot just working with him, and that drive, that motivation. And I just think it was a neat experience to work with him and just see that level of not an athlete, but just of that level of mentality. High level CEO people that I've worked with, high level CEOs, the same mentality as Caeleb. How can I get better? What do I need to do? How can I think better? How can I sleep better? It's the same thing. That's why they're super successful, right? They're super successful because of that. It's the mentality of it.
Yeah, driven, like
yeah, that's it. Yeah. They're nobody's perfect genetically. Of course, he's got some genetic gifts physically and training wise, but everything he's got, the kid's worked for. He's worked hard. He's just a normal kid. Wow. He's worked insanely hard, and that's just what's so cool.
It's always good to hear that, even from like people outside of the specific training, that's the mental, the psychology of the sport is still and make the huge difference.
It is. And it's just, they're treating their bodies insanely well. And when I talk to women, I say there's a breaking point where what you do in the water versus what you do out of the water is going to be equally important, and then it's going to flip. And for a woman, that's typically around 19 and 20 years old. Up to 19 and 20, what you do in the water is probably more important than what you do out of the water. But when you get to that point, if you want to keep improving and fight nature as a woman, you have to be outside of the water. And that's almost more important, if not more important, than what you do in the water. It is. I mean, look at Natalie Coughlin. Look how well she swam into her 30s.
Yeah.
Because she's incredible at recovery, at nutrition, and she's very outspoken on those things. It's just, as a woman, you don't get a whole lot of time to just pound it in the water and let everything, eat pizza every day. As a male, I think that threshold becomes a little later in life, around that probably 26, 25 range. It kind of flips.
Mm-hmm.
Get a few more years as a guy, but as a woman, you got to fight nature so early in life.
And you still can perform at the highest level if you adjust the right way.
Yeah, you can do it. You have to be insanely good at what you do. And that's where fine tuning what you're eating, what you're supplementing with vitamins, or even if it's performance type of supplements, what you're doing there is so important. I mean,
so being that specific today and being a little bit more of a normal nutrition before, what would you not address that you were addressing back in the days when you started and before you discovered DNA? You have to have some stuff that you used to address, or like our nutritionists will address. Totally, that you would totally avoid today.
Yeah, I would. One of the biggest things is I would encourage people to take a multivitamin, right? So I would say, nobody eats perfect, right? No, but nobody does. We don't eat perfect. Multivitamin will fill those gaps of nutrition, which I still believe that. But now knowing what I know, right? There's a lot of things in a multivitamin that are working against certain people. And there's one specific gene that's going to tell us what kind of ingredients you need to avoid in vitamins. And so right now, about 70 to 75% of the women I test need to avoid certain ingredients in vitamins. So they're ingesting the completely wrong stuff because they're just typically taking any old multivitamin off the shelf and they have no idea. It's about 50% of men that
Wow.
have this. And so they're doing the wrong thing. As a coach, we actually bought liquid multivitamins
Go, take
on
it.
the pool deck. Everybody
Yeah.
came in and did it. I mean, now it goes, oh my goodness, we should not have done that. Now knowing what I know about nutrition and food and what works against people's bodies, that's.
Do you have those discussions with colleagues and nutritionists talking with you or addressing you? How did you receive that? You coming in and being even more specific than what they do?
So I don't work. Yeah, it's a great question. It's a loaded question. With the universities, we don't really work with teams very much. Okay, and as a large group, and part of that is politics because the large universities in the U.S. hire people. Like there are people on staff there to work with the athletes that are hired, that are paid benefits, that are paid retirement, right? They're on staff, and so the university doesn't want to hire somebody outside of these people. We've hired all these people and pay them. Why do we need to spend money to work with somebody outside? That doesn't make any sense. So how the university and college athletes work with me is they come to me independently. From Instagram is really honestly a big source, from podcasts, from finding my website, from referrals are the biggest source of clients we have right now. We get one person from a team. There's a particular team in the Big Ten right now. We've had one person, and now I think we're up to like 5 or 6 from that team. So it's just referral.
Yeah.
But with clubs, we actually do club testing where we do discounts for large groups of people with its parents, athletes, and we test everybody associated with the athlete because anybody around that person is going to help them get healthier. So if mom and dad are thinking about their health more and what they put in their body, the kid's going to as well. So we want to help everyone around that athlete become healthier and protect their bubble of people with this knowledge. Right. So it's definitely hard with university teams. If they're a larger university, smaller universities typically don't even have somebody on staff. So they're more willing to work with somebody outside of the university. But, I don't even work with the dietitians, nutritionists on staff because it's just me and the athlete. And I say, if you want to take this to your nutritionist, dietitian on campus, feel free, go ahead. This is medical personal data. You can share that with anybody you want, and they can help you even more. But if you want to just work with me, that's fine too. It's kind of their choice.
So I was asking you off if you were a lot of people doing what you are doing. Do you know people in the US doing what we are doing today with DNA? Not at all.
I know there's other DNA companies out there. So some of the ones that you've probably heard of, like Ancestry.com,
Yeah.
23andMe, right? And so those are technically DNA companies that tell you something about your health. Now, the problem with those is, one, they're not HIPAA protected, which means they can sell your data, and they tell you right away they're going to sell your data. They are not science or research backed either. So there's no science behind these things. The one that we use, this particular DNA test, actually has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of research studies that back the data. So that's why we use the one we have. It's HIPAA safe, it's protected, and it's research backed. There's none other in the world, to my knowledge, at least. So we are honestly I think the only people doing this to the specific sport performance level, to my knowledge. There might be other people, I don't know, but to my knowledge, I think hopefully nobody gets the idea to go start their own now, but I think we are. And I think we're so unique because we really gear towards athletes and swimmers specifically. And because we all were swimmers. Everyone on our staff was a swimmer or is still a swimmer at the high level. So we get it. We get the sport.
Yeah, I'm sure people come to you and they feel even more comfortable because you are a coach and you know what they feel, and you can describe it very, very, very well. What would be like the recovery gap that most of the time, and how you will evaluate that with your athletes, that they improve, from before you and after you. Because
Yeah.
to me, this is the biggest challenge for a coach. This morning, for example, we did with two swimmers, mid-distance swimmer, Catherine Savard, and a distance swimmer, and I have a 6K workout, but it was a very low intensity workout. Heart rate went above 24, probably just 400 or 300 meters in this workout. For the rest of the time, it was very low, but it's always a challenge to do. It's always a challenge to write down this workout and take the time, and slow, and you have to watch other stuff than being focused on the stopwatch or the physiological aspect of the performance. There is skills that you can work on, the way they are relaxing, focus on breathing. There is so much stuff that you can work on as well on the side, but I'm always happy to go through those workouts, but it's very, 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 very challenging. And we do those workouts for them to recover. But outside of that, how is your nutrition program and the nutrition DNA test could affect the recovery?
Yeah, that's actually one of the genes we test is the recovery gene. So I was going to ask you, Greg, what you guys do for recovery, right? Do you guys have recovery days? Is that something that you guys have?
What I put in my season plan, and this is something I'm very proud of, I have like 6 to 9 transition week in my plan. Let's say you have 48 weeks of training. There is 6 to 9 transition week where I'm going to count probably three transition week totally off during the season. When I say weeks, more of 5 days or 4 days off. And for the other one, there are moments where I'm going to go down in the volume a lot, and the intensity is still going to be weak where I'm going to refresh the mind, have more fun, talk a little bit more, work a little bit on the video aspect, do more skills, and it's very refreshing as well, because I feel that, and this is one of the lessons of COVID-19, I hope it's going to help even more coaches to go that way, is I'm not sure that we need to do that much, honestly. And you are 39 years old, and you swam until what age? Until what age did you swim?
I started swimming at 14, so I was very late in life.
When did you quit?
22.
22. So if we look at the generation before us and the generation of swimmer even before you, they were hammered. They were swimming like crazy.
Yeah.
And they didn't have 4, 3, 5 different programs to train. They just had one. And if you were a sprinter, you will swim 10K like every in the workout, and you will rest 2 weeks or 1 week a year, and suddenly you could feel the energy and you could swim. But
Yep.
imagine back in the days how, and the way they used to eat, and how rough and how rushed it was on their body. So how is that recovery big, and how can you measure the percentage of improvement you got from that?
So some of the athletes have Whoop watches, the recovery watches. I've seen some data actually that some of the people that have this major gene mutation in their vitamin deficiencies, when they make the switch to get one ingredient out of their vitamins and their food, because you'll find it in foods, it's not that hard to switch, and they start putting the real stuff in their body, no longer the synthetic, they've seen recovery up to 25 and 20% better every day.
Wow.
Can you imagine if you recovered even like 5% better every day? I feel like I would have been a whole new person. It was just
25 is huge.
And that just shows, I mean, I talk about that just shows how important what you put in your body impacts your recovery, your sleep, your emotional and mental health, everything you already said, right? It's so important. That is one ingredient. That's just one ingredient. Nothing else really changed. One ingredient. And if we do the other things that come in, the recovery gene is important. I just saw that I am a slow recoverer, which was absolutely no surprise to me when I saw that. I've sent that to my college coach. Said, see, I knew I recovered slow. And so we talk about that one for quite some time with everybody, right? What does this mean hydration wise? How much liquid should you actually be drinking every day? How do you tolerate heat and humidity? Do you dehydrate more quickly than other people, right? We talk about how to flush lactic acid. I hold on to lactic acid in my body for a long time, and I have to force it out.
I feel you.
It's awful. It's awful. It was horrible. Now looking back, I understand it. Now I can talk to these poor humans that also have this gene with me. We can discuss how horrible it is to feel that way. And so just knowing, giving them the tools, giving these athletes the kind of an exact plan of, this is what I want you to do when you get done with your race. You get done with the 500 free or the 200 butterfly, 100 freestyle, and you got to go to the cool down pool. And this is your routine. This is what will help you get rid of that lactic acid so you can swim fast in finals, or you can swim fast 3 days later. If you don't do these things, that's going to impact you pretty hard. Maybe not at 12, but at 18, 22, you're going to feel that hard. That's going to be bad. So we can give them the tools recovery wise. One of the most recent athletes I talked to, she was at an ISL in Italy, and she's a sprint gene and she recovers slow. So I said, when you do recovery workouts in the water, do you also go lift that day? She goes, yeah. That's not recovery. When you're a sprint gene and you recover slow, there's no way that's recovery. That's actually worse than just a hard threshold set on your body genetically. So it made me rethink, when I started to learn about this as a coach, I totally made that mistake. We almost every spot, we had recovery day in the pool, we had fun, we play a game, they social kick, and then they go to the weight room for an hour and pound it out. Those sprint gene kids were shot. That was not a recovery day. So I've learned a lot since.
The recovery world is has to be more respect, I think, way more and more. And it's a big challenge for me in my program, try to adjust that all the time and make aerobic easy work easy. And some of the swimmers are going to listen to what I say right now. When they say, "Oh no, it's still hard. It's still hard. It's still not easy enough." But I think that's a major key of success in your training program. Do you miss a little bit of coaching?
No.
Not at all?
No, not at all. No, I don't. Not at all. I think it's just the coaching that we do at the university level here is so much of our work is not even coaching anymore, right? We have to recruit so much. We recruit juniors and seniors and sophomores, and we recruit so much that by the time I would show up to 2:30 practice, I'm shot. I'm just done. I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. And that's when you're supposed to be at your best, right? As now your real job should start, and you're shot. There's just so much other stuff. And then, if swimming isn't your life and you have other things going on, like you have kids or a family or, other things, that all takes away your emotional and mental energy too. And so it's just, no, I don't miss it, because the schedule just drove me away completely. It wasn't that I disliked coaching, that I disliked the athletes. It's just the schedule that completely drove me away. And now I actually still coach, but I get to do it from my home in a chair that's pretty comfy. I get to, work with some pretty cool people all over the world. Everybody's very different, and everybody that comes to see me is pretty happy. They're pretty, nobody's been mad and doesn't want to be there. They're pretty excited to learn about what they want to do. And some of those athletes occasionally, they didn't really want to be in the pool. They were there because you were paying them to be in the pool, or mom and dad were making them be in the pool. Yeah. Everybody that comes to me is really happy. We have really great conversations and have fun. And so
you deal with the good side of it.
Yeah.
You are dealing with the good side of it. Was it a hard decision to make, or did you take a long time to say that, okay, I'm gonna quit? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, the last 2 years, the COVID situation as a coach, I'm sure a lot of coaches are going to agree with what I say, make us realize that, wow, we don't live for ourselves enough.
Yeah.
You realize that, the first 3 months I spent when COVID hit us, I was so happy.
I would have been as a coach too. I would have been finally. I
was happy because it wasn't even sleep was to me the biggest frustration in that COVID, because I realized it took me 6 months to start to open my eyes after 6:30 or 7, because we are programmed for
Yep.
that, you know.
Yep.
So it's so much in our DNA now. Like, you know, we wake up. I woke up when I have a workout at 6. I'm up at 4 or even before, and I'm on the
Yep.
pool deck at 4:45, 4:50, because I want to be ready for the session, right? Even if it starts at 6. So you program your body and your mind to get up and get up and get up and get up, and it's wow. It took me a while to start to sleep normally, and still I'm struggling. I should probably do a DNA test and do something with you as well. But the good side of it was that I was able to enjoy my kids, you know,
Yeah.
spend more time with them, be more available, be as well in a better mood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of coaches today here in Quebec, in Canada, quit the job, or
Yeah.
took assistant position, or took downside position to have less responsibility, and being okay to lose a little bit of money and enjoy a little bit more of life. Did you went through the same? That was it hard for you to like accept, say, okay, this is what it is. We're going to take more times, because we are in love with the people. We are in love with swimming. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure that when you watch swimming, or when you are on the pool deck for different occasions, I'm sure that you could have easily have goosebumps, or just watching the athletes or what they are doing. I'm sure you have fun watching that. So how was it for you to? Because I asked you that, like, in an off conversation, and you told me that something like trigger you to push you to that side of it. But if you wanted to share that a little bit more with us, because I'm sure that a lot of coaches are living that, and for some reason they are just sad, you know. Being honest about what you are living, it's a strength. I really, really enjoy doing the podcast with Brett. He was almost one of the first podcasts I was doing, and he was talking about how destroyed it was, how burned it was by because he was consuming himself to being available there, doing this, the pressure from the university. And he was a young coach as you as well, as you were. You had probably 3 or 4 years of experience, and boom, he was a head coach of Auburn. And of course, at the beginning, it's overwhelming. And I'm not going to lie to you today. I'm in that position. I'm the head coach of my club. It's been 12 years and I haven't been the head coach, and I want to do well, and I want to preserve my health, and I want to sleep well, and take time to take time to be in shape and enjoy time with my kids and stuff, you know. But right now, and this week was probably the hardest week I had since I have been in the position. I was so busy every night. It doesn't stop if I want to, you know. You know what it is. You have email, phone, workout, and the highest level your athlete are, the more demanding is the mission, and more specific is the mission. So you are giving a little bit more, and it's easy. And trying to watch myself. I say, okay, take time for yourself. Take time for yourself, because if you feel good, you're going to be good. If you don't feel that good, you're not going to coach A plus. So was it the same for you? But that kind of stuff will bring you to the end.
Yeah, you're kind of describing a whole lot of feeling there that I felt. Yeah, it's so really. I always had the goal to be. Well, I should backtrack. I'm the kind of personality, maybe you're like this, Greg, too. I think a lot of athletes, and especially coaches, is I don't know how to do anything at 85%.
Okay.
It's 1,000% or no percent. If I'm gonna do it, we're gonna be the best. We're gonna win. We're gonna do, we're gonna be the best. Or I'm not doing it. I don't want to do this if we're not going to be the best. And that's that. I don't know. Are you like that too? Or is it
Yeah,
just
of course, I love that. Like, this is, I think, that the paradoxal situation in our work. You know, you want to go there and you want to invest so much sometimes, but the cost of it,
the cost? Yep. Emotionally, mentally, physically, it's not worth it. So that was my big struggle when it came to coaching, is that I wanted to invest everything in coaching, and then I wanted to invest everything in my family, and then I wanted to invest everything in coaching, and it was 5 to 6 different times a day I'm adjusting this. I got to be all here, and then I got to be all here. And like I said, I don't know how to do anything at 85%. It's 1,000% or nothing, and that gets me into trouble a lot because I just put the blinders on and go. And I've actually gotten really good at not being like that since I left coaching. I definitely have become way better. And yeah, as you mentioned, there was an event that sort of triggered the thought to walk away from coaching. It wasn't so much the, okay, now's the time I'm going to pull a trigger. Because it took, what did it take me? January of 18, and I left in October of 18. So what is that? 9 months.
Okay.
So 9 months later. So in January of 18, I was pregnant with our third child, and then I had a stillbirth. So stillbirth, for people that don't know, it's when you birth a child that's not living, and that was pretty traumatic.
Wow.
That was pretty tough. And I was working at Purdue and with John Klinge as the head coach. He's still there with the women, and he was gracious and wonderful, and he just said, Erica, whatever time you need, you just take. Okay, if you don't want to come to Big Ten championships, you don't want to go to NCAAs, whatever you need, you just do. Okay. So I said, I'm going to take 2 weeks, John, and then I plan on coming back. And I remember that it was a Wednesday morning, and I was supposed to come back that day. And I called John crying and said, I can't do it. I just can't come back yet. And he goes, it's okay. You do what you need to do. We're fine here. You don't worry about us. Okay. We're fine. And so I think I took about another week or something off, but that just was kind of like a COVID trigger almost for what a lot of people are going through now. Like the realization of life is short. There's more to life than running the rat race. It wasn't more to life than coaching. It's more to life than living that schedule, living that way constantly in rush, in angst, in anxiety over, I got to get my kids from daycare at 5 o'clock, or I'm going to get charged $25 extra, or, constantly living like that. That forced me to look at life and go, what are we doing? This for what? Right. And so, like we have 2 kids and maybe we'll have more, I don't know, but I want to be able to enjoy the time that I have with the kids and be able to be their mom and not be this coach who's also their mom. And that's 95% of the time just wants to take a nap because I'm so tired from everything. So that sort of made me really check myself in life and go, what am I doing?
Was it like a recall? How can I say that? Recall moment where you told yourself, oh my God, life is precious.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget, and we say those words sometimes without even thinking about the meaning of it until something hard hit you, and like death of someone, or whatever experience you can have in your life were really, really intense, make you come back to the basic and say, oh, I should enjoy a little bit more the natural and normal stuff. And the focus is not exactly where I should put it. Like, do you think that this has had a direct connection with your work and how burned you were?
Yeah. And so I think, I gave myself time because I was obviously in a hormonal, a mental, emotional mess for multiple months. So I wasn't going to make any rash decisions. I shouldn't make any rash decisions other than what to buy at the grocery store. And that was still even sketchy at times. I would make poor choices at the grocery store. So, I gave myself that time. And, once we went to NCAAs that year in March, had finished, I think, the second highest ever in team history. It was just such an enjoyable meet. And I remember thinking on the deck, oh, I can keep doing this. I'm having fun again. Like, yeah, okay, I could do this. I think we can do this and I can make it work. And then I remember around July, just that summer on campus, when we had most of our team there and training, and the summer started out great. It was enjoyable. And then once something about July hit and I just went, I don't know if I can do this. So I just kept pushing through, because that's what we do. We're coaches and we just push through and we ignore all the feelings. And, there's multiple times in my career that I've, probably thousands that I went, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't wake up at 4:30 anymore. I'm done. I can't do this every morning. I think I said that. But then in the fall, the recruiting rules had changed that year. In 2018, you could start bringing high school juniors onto campus. And so that that significantly doubled or tripled the amount of work there was. And so I gave everything I had that first week of September. I think it was that we could recruit the juniors and call them and talk to them. I gave everything the way it should have been. And after that week, I went, I can't do this. I am done. So that next Monday, our head coach had gotten back from ASCA, and I said, John, can I talk to you? I got to be done. So I'm sorry. It's horrible timing, but I'm just done. And, you know, I gotta do something else in life. I gotta be a mom.
So we don't want coaches to be discouraged about your story. I really feel like what you are saying is truly honest, and you're going to help a lot of people to face the reality. It's very, very, very important. And we are going to the end, and I want to ask you. I usually say I just have one question. I'm going to have more, but what would be the best advice you could say or give to a coach who are going to what you went through, and you today you are out of it? Some coaches don't want out.
Yeah.
What would you address to them? Like, what would you say for them to be able to go and to work as hard as they want to work, achieve?
Yeah, probably everything that somebody tried to tell me and I didn't listen to. Probably all of those things. But no, in all honesty, I think that, and this is so unrealistic, and when you're in that world, you can't see outside of your bubble. Like, I don't have time to go take care of myself. All you people talk about is self-care for coaches. Well, when am I supposed to do that, right? I remember that conversation coming up. Well, I would talk to an administrator and they would say, how are you doing? Like, I'm fried. I'm just so tired. Like, you got to take some time for yourself. When? When do you want me to take time for myself? You cannot see that. You cannot see that in your day. But the reality is that's the only longevity piece, is if you find a way to balance somehow. And there's times in the career where it is going to be completely unbalanced, but that means that on the other side of things, there has to be some time where it is balanced, or almost the opposite direction. I felt like my life was probably most balanced when I was honestly probably a head coach, because we had, where the university I was, we didn't have a summer program for 1 year. And then the next year I started a summer program, but we had a really great partnership with a local swim club. So the kids would swim with them in the morning. They'd come over and swim with us at night. So I was coaching once a day, got to recruit from home. You know, I kind of just did whatever I wanted through the day. I mean, we had that uber balance, like so little things going on in the summer. During the season, it was crazy, but you knew once conference or NCAAs were done, we got a break. And that was fine. But that's honestly the best advice I never listened to or couldn't figure out how to put it in my life, was somehow you got to walk away from that deck and let other people handle it for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 1 week, for every Wednesday morning you're not on deck, whatever that is. That's how you got to.
I did put in place something for the coaches that I read some in some news maybe long time ago. I always kept that in mind because I thought it was a great idea. And now that I'm back in the head coach again, I wanted to offer that to everyone in my staff. So I would say that every full contract coach in charge of a group or working full hours with another group, I'm trying to give them the opportunity to have it's going to go every 8 weeks, because there is 8 coaches like this, 8 weeks. I'm going to give them Thursday off. Thursday, when they are done Thursday, they're off Friday and Saturday and come back Monday. So giving them 3 days.
Yeah.
Offer the opportunity for the other coaches to coach the group higher or touch different base with different athletes as well, because it's give you the opportunity, let's say for the junior coach, to talk the elite athletes and get in touch with them, try to get to know them and take more responsibility. But at the same time, you as a coach, you get to have you have a Friday with your family. You can take 3 days off. You can take a travel trip with your boyfriend or girlfriend if you need to, because you know what it is. We finish Saturday morning coaching. You're done at 10. You have to be there at 6 in the morning on Monday. You don't have more than 24 hours free there. I don't think so. So this is And we didn't start yet. We start, I think, next week or in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to see how they're going to react. I'm very excited about that because I think that especially with what we went through, if they are not able to take responsibility for their situation, their life, or whatever, I'm going to try to do everything I can for them to be good for the club as well, because I'm not stupid. I want them to coach really, really well, like you. I want to achieve good, amazing result, and I think that it's a good idea and it's going to help them a lot. What do you think about that? What do you think about that idea?
I think it's awesome. I think you have to force people to do it. And the thing you can't control is that you can't force them not to feel bad or guilty or think about swimming, right? They have to emotionally and mentally get away as well. I remember I went to ASCA. I don't remember what year this was. This might have been like 2011 or 12. I don't remember what year it was, but Greg Troy, Caeleb's coach, was actually talking. Caeleb was probably like 5 at the time. And somebody asked Greg a really good question. And they said, Greg, what would you do different in your career? Like, looking back, what would you do different? I don't even know if he would remember this, that he said this. Maybe he had too many cocktails the night before and couldn't remember what, he even said, but he said, I'd take, every Saturday morning off and spend it with my family. Not, hey, I would have trained the team more. I would have, thought about this for this athlete more. It was a pretty open question. And that's what he said. So I thought that always stuck with me. And that was pretty powerful. Even him, one of the most accomplished coaches in this world, said, I would have taken Saturdays off and spent it with my family and let the assistants run the team. They can do it.
You don't want to feel the guilt of not being on deck. You are allowed to take a break. And swimmers sometimes they miss practice, and I swear some of them don't feel a guilt at all.
No, they don't feel the guilt.
Sometimes you should do it for yourself. So Erica, this is a promotional time now. I want you to take time to talk about how does it work? What is the cost of it? I have an athlete who already contacted you, I think.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that.
Through email. I'm not gonna name her name, but or if she didn't, she will pretty soon.
Okay.
Because she was very curious about that, and she tried so many things that didn't work for her that she's willing to try something more specific. So, and I will probably try to connect some of my elite athletes as well with you, but yes, it's on them. They have to feel free to get information, watch what we are doing now, and I hope that you will invite them to try, because I cannot push them or force them to do it. So let's say I'm a head coach of a team, or you are a parent, and you want to help a bunch of swimmers to get better. How do you process? I contact you directly, or you have different package? How is the DNA test work? Like, where do I spit, or do I have to do something specific to do that? How long does it take? How many communication we have? How does it work?
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a lot of questions, Greg. In one sentence, that's a lot of questions. Good thing you're not an English major, because that was a lot of questions. So, so they contact me directly. Typically, we'll just say if it's you as a parent, right? You're a parent, you have an athlete that you're interested, and your athlete is interested. I always say the athlete has to be the driving force behind it. So if it's anyone under 18, we always communicate with the parents as well, just safe sport rules. But the athlete has to be the one that wants to take the initiative, that wants to make the change, right? The parents can't force it, because by the time they're over 12, if the parent is forcing it, it's not going to happen. Kid's not going to take it seriously. So this has to come as an initiative from the athlete, and go, hey, mom and dad, I think this would be pretty cool. I want to do this. Or they present it to their child. They go, yeah, that sounds awesome. I want to look into that. Right. So the athlete has to be into it. The parents can't force them. So how it works is, the first thing we do is we get on Zoom just like this, and we talk. Okay. And I explain the process, explain how it works, what you're going to learn, and they have to like me and I have to like them. right? It's kind of like recruiting in a way.
Create a
We're
connection.
not going to work well together if you don't like me. Okay. If you don't like what I have to say, or if you want me to tell you you're allergic to avocados, I can't do that. That's a blood test. Go see your, allergist. I can't do that. So they have to understand the stuff they are going to learn and what the process looks like and be all in the whole process. That's huge. Okay. So luckily, we've been very fortunate to have multiple and many clients that have that drive and that desire, which is so neat. So we start off, if we decide on Zoom that Greg, you and I like each other and we're going to work okay together, that this is going to work, then I send you a collection kit. Okay, and so you swab your cheek on the inside 3 times, different samples, and then you put it in an envelope. If you're outside the US, you just send it back to me. If you're inside the US, you just drop it in a mailbox and it goes to the lab in Vancouver. The lab is actually in Vancouver. So they process it. It takes about 3 weeks turnaround, and then out pops 37 different genes that were tested. And that's where the work begins. So once we get the report, it is HIPAA protected. So that means I don't get it. It's the athlete gets it or their parent gets it. Okay, so they get it. If they're comfortable with it, they forward it to me through email. And then we sit down like this on Zoom for 90 minutes and go through it. What does this mean? What are you struggling with? That's our first conversation before we even go through the report. What are you struggling with? What can you get better at? What's in the family history we want to be preventative on, right? So there's a lot of stuff that comes out there, a lot of stuff that usually comes out. So then we know how to gear the conversation and gear the results to what they're trying to figure out. If they're not in a weight loss goal, we're not going to talk about weight loss. Okay. That might just get breezed over. Okay. If that's a huge goal for them, we can see what kind of things are going to be beneficial for them when it comes to that. So that's a 90-minute conversation that's pretty long, that we go through the whole report and apply this to swimming, apply that to them specifically. It's not generic in any way. After that, we do a 20-minute supplement review. So we go through what supplements are you currently taking? Are they sport safe? Do they line up with your DNA? And is there anything we want to think about adding in? Is there something missing here? And what brand would that be? I'm really familiar with Canadian brands now because of all of the Canadians I've worked with. So, what can we get in Canada? What can we get in the US? What can we get in Hungary or Turkey or Germany, right? We look for that and what's going to be the best for you. Okay. And come up with a plan of this is when we should take these during the day. You're wasting your money if you're taking vitamin D in the morning. Okay. Take it at dinner. So we come up with that type of plan for them so they know exactly what to do. Okay, some people, I'd say, some of my pros have a toolbox full of supplements that they take. They better be planning that out the right way. And then we go through that. Other people, they just might take 1 or 2 things. That might be a vitamin. That's it. When should they take that and what kind should it be? After our supplement review, they get an action plan written by us that's customized to them. They get about 4 to 6 weeks where they're making changes and they have access to message with us. So they get to ask us questions. A lot of times they get pictures of things from the grocery store. Is this good for me? What kind of things should they do between sessions of a meet? A lot of different conversations come up there. And then we finish everything with a follow-up call. So we go through what has gone well, what's still a challenge, what have we felt, what haven't we felt? What's coming up that we need to think about? Is there a meet coming up? Is the US Open coming up? How do we take this knowledge and apply it to now going to a meet? What do we do different? Okay. So that's the whole entire process. And that's how that works. So it's 3 basically different in-person conversations through Zoom. And then it's time and access to message with us through a private app that we use that they can message with us.
And what is the cost of it?
So if it's an individual, okay, that's not coming as a team or a group, it's $449. Okay. We are going to go through a pricing change once the new year hits, because we're actually starting to test another piece of a gene that's even going to give us new knowledge and more information, which is super cool and super interesting. So all the science nerds out there would be very interested in it. But it's really going to be helpful for athletes and fertility pieces. It's going to be really, really cool to see that. So we're going to go through a pricing structure change on that. But right now it's $449, and that includes everything. Okay, shipping. Now, if we have to ship internationally, we do add a little bit onto that to get it internationally obviously it costs us more to ship it to Canada or across the ocean. So we have to add a little bit onto that. But in the US, it's $4.49. Internationally, we typically go at $5.29.
It's not that expensive to compare with what the nutritionist charge you for one session or 2 or 5. It's very affordable. And you have a group price?
Yes.
Group price?
We do. Yep. We do group prices. So international. So if it's international, like I mentioned, I'll just say in the US, because I told you what the US price is. In the US, it's $4.49. We start there with 1 to 10 people. Once we get beyond that, we can start dropping the price, and actually we'll compensate programs and DNA kits back to the team. So the coaches can do it.
Wow.
They want to give it to an assistant coach. They want to give it to their
That
spouse.
is very important to take care of the coaches as well.
Yeah, we want to take care of
the boat to be as healthy as you can to do a better job.
Right. And then what your athletes are talking about on the pool deck, because they'll have their conversation with us. And then the next day, another one has a conversation going, did you have that? I did too. Did you know about that?
Yeah.
So they're starting to, communicate with each other, which is
a bigger emulation of that. And yeah.
Right. So their bubble of people around them becomes more knowledgeable and more interested in what's going in their body. Not always, but even if it's 50% of the time, they're making a better choice or being more aware of what's in their body. Okay. So they're influenced by their bubble of people, which is helpful. So we can keep dropping the price the more people we test from a team as a group, whether that's parents, we open it to parents, coaches, siblings, athletes, anybody associated with that athlete. There's been teams where half of our group has been parents because they want to know, like they're interested in knowing what it is. So, and then the more and more we compensate, more coaches programs back to the team. And so we just want to make sure the coaches are being able to do it as well and be as healthy as they can, because man, they need it too.
Some coaches, yes, they need it bad.
They need it big time. So it is very affordable. And the reason behind it is because we're not doing blood draws. And we actually calculated it out. If you would go to get on average a blood draw on all those genes, it costs you around 4,000 American dollars.
Okay.
Just for the lab fees. It's very expensive. One gene in particular can cost you around $2,500 a piece. Just one gene can cost that much. So it's very expensive. But with the cheek swabs, it's very effective. It's very accurate. It's, the providers and doctors' offices use cheek swabs to test what kind of antidepressant drugs are going to work best with your genetics. It's how they use it as a cheek swab as well. So it's a common practice that's used, and it's affordable, and it's a great way to do it.
Thank you. I really wanted you to share that with yourself, because people are going to be curious, and instead of going to the website or whatever, we're going to offer them that like now, And my last question.
Okay.
I promise I'm going to try to stop there. I'm having fun, I learn a lot.
Good conversation.
And we have good conversation. I feel like I could talk with you hour and hour about sports, and I still have lots of questions in the back, but maybe we do another episode. I don't know.
There we go. We'll do an episode on, maybe I get permission to share some pros genetics and what we changed in them or something.
Go. Voilà. Cool. That could be awesome. So let's do that. We'll do another show like this. And my last question for today would be for you, if you have to give nutrition advice with all your experience to help some athletes, for them to take a little bit more ownership and make the first step towards the DNA test and the DNA nutrition program, what would it be? So
just in general, basic.
Yeah.
Wow, you should have gave me this question ahead of time. Now this is a tough one. I didn't know there was going to be a hard question.
The thing is, we talk, and our talk is feeding me with questions in my mind.
Yeah. So the most important thing, and this is pretty general across the board. Okay. Now it gets more specific on what to do based on your genetics, but the most important thing and the easiest thing that an athlete can do is eat something within, I call it the 30-minute magic window.
Yeah.
Okay. So 30 minutes after your practice ends, your window ends. Now I tell athletes this all the time. It doesn't start when you are done showering, talking to your teammates, hanging out with your coach on deck. It starts the minute you leave the pool. Okay. Now you get 30 minutes to put food in your body for strictly recovery purposes. Okay, so you want something that's about equal carbs and equal protein. So 12 grams of carbs, 12 grams of protein. We want to steer away from these 40 grams of protein shakes, 1 gram of carb, right? This is not recovery food. We need a balance. Now, if somebody's in a weight loss goal, if they have a high carb sensitivity, they have a high fat sensitivity, if they have a dairy problem, there's obviously different specifics we're going to try to avoid in there. But in general, they can bring a peanut butter sandwich and have a banana. Easy recovery food. I mean, that's cheap. Or peanut butter and jelly, 1 piece of bread, fold it over, peanut butter and jelly. Guess what? You got carbs, you got fat, you got protein. Okay, we're winning. Now, is that the most ideal thing? No, but it's pretty dang good, actually, and it's pretty cheap. So tell all of your swimmers, bring your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You better be eating that on the way out of the pool on your ride home. Okay. And a lot of people will tell me, well, I go home and, my mom makes dinner within 30 minutes. Like, there's no way from the minute you get out of the pool, you're eating dinner within 30 minutes unless you live across the street from the pool. There is no way. No, it's not happening. So take your bar, take your chocolate almond milk, whatever you got with you to the pool. Okay. And eat that or drink that on the way home.
No chips, no fuck. I'm not going to say that, but
no Skittles, no candy, no
candy,
chips,
fake fruits, Welsh or whatever. Like more of the real, natural, real stuff that you should put in your body.
And that's ideal. And if it's somebody who doesn't have a dairy problem, it can be a cheese stick and an apple. Okay. Now, is that always realistic to be able to bring a cheese and an apple with you? No. So, there's a brand called RX, and I know you guys have those in Canada, that you can get RX bars. That's about equal grams of protein and carbs. They're around 200 calories. They're processed, but they're minimally processed. Pretty decent ingredients, about the best you can get in a processed food item. They're $1 a piece about. It can't get any easier or cheaper than that.
That's for sure.
Right? You can buy a box of them at Costco for like $10 for 10 of them. It's pretty cost effective. And so that's a great thing to bring to a meet. Or if you have to be in school all day and then go to practice, you can't keep a cheese stick in your backpack all day. So you could, but you'd be probably going to the bathroom pretty quick. So an RX bar or something like that is fine too. Like, there's different ways and different times to use processed and fresh stuff. But
Erica, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Really,
I said I don't speak French.
But you know what merci beaucoup means, thank you so much. I'm very happy that we had that conversation. I miss doing it as much as I used to, but it's always a blast, enjoying this experience to meet different people, having different conversation. And today was the first time for me that we address that subject in my show. So I'm very, very happy, and I'm very happy that I had the chance to know you, and I'm looking forward to the next episode we're going to do together.
Okay.
And you will lead it and bring the subject, and let's go.
Okay, maybe we can bring some people on. We can bring some pros on.
Oh my God, you want to come in, huh? You want to come into my board? We are going to work together.
Okay. We can bring some pros. They can talk about it.
Thank you very much, Erica. This was episode 56. Don't forget to subscribe, to keep pushing the movement, like I used to say. Click on the like button, leave some comment here and there, share it. It's available now on every audio podcast you can find, Google, Deezer, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, of course. So thank you very much, Erica, once again. It was episode 56 of All the Talk, and I hope you will enjoy that one, because I did, and I'm looking forward to share that one with you guys and a little bit more. Thank you so much, Erica. Have a good night, a good Friday night, and looking forward to do some more stuff with you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate it. Awesome.